14-point lead.
30.
There's a bit of work to do to think about winning the frame at this visit. No.
Stephen Hendry, 30.
He didn't score enough for his liking, I'm sure.
One. Eight. Nine.
This time he'll play for the red just above the blue. Got a good angle on this black. He's shorter pace. If he could,
16.
if he can get comfortably to the red, he could play it to the far right corner, but I don't think he can cut it to the right centre, but thin contact. The white ball travelling. He's not certain to be good on the black. He needs a good kiss.
17.
Didn't get it. Now, I don't know if there's one of those reds, the outside of the four reds on the right of the table, will one of them go to the corner? I don't think so. If not...
Brown ball.
Oh, it maybe just goes, doesn't it? Anyway, he's decided to play the safety. But that red maybe just goes. He's called brown and now he's got up, so if he plays another shot, he'll have to nominate another colour, because at the moment he's gone in the records, he's playing the brown.
Steve Davis, 17.
Thought black to middle was too risky. He felt he got a certain snooker there, having nominated the brown.
That's the way you'd want to play it. You wouldn't want to play it off one cushion. You want to come off to... Oh, he's misjudged it badly.
Foul and a miss.
Put too much side on.
Steve Davis.
Far too much side.
Yeah.
And it's going to be very important now that the referee Arian Williams gets that black back exactly where it was, because obviously the black,
What about that, Stephen?
although he was wide of the target there, that black does come into play.
Locked up. Skulle det vara?
Well, that's where it was.
Yeah. Anybody? How's it look?
Yeah.
Looks okay? Okay, thanks.
Well, Stephen's happy with it. But as I say, he wants to come off two cushions rather than one. If he comes off one, he could knock the red on. That's a better line, but it's pacey. It's pacey.
Hendry looking anxiously on, and he'll certainly be anxious if he loses this frame to go 5-0 down.
Played it well. Another few inches and he'd have been absolutely inch perfect on the black. I think he'll still choose the black. The brown across the nap isn't that straightforward. I don't know if in potting the black he could use the brown as a stopper. Doesn't really want to be going in and out of the balk end. He did. Played it well. He's got a great chance here, Steve, now. 18 points the lead.
8.
2 reds, 2 blacks. And Stephen Hendry would need a snooker.
Nine.
Well, Clive, for Steve Davis, it just gets better and better.
16.
Well, he seems to be controlling the match tactically.
17. Thanks.
He always seems to come out of the tactical exchanges ahead. Hendry is only getting very infrequent opportunities. And Hendry's highest break so far is a mere 30.
Steve just stopping it. There shouldn't be any heroics with this black. If he pots the black, he goes 36 points in front. With only... Well, maybe I did my mathematics wrong before. The black only puts him 34 in front. I must have made a mistake with my maths. I thought the 2 reds, 2 blacks put him 36 in front. I was wrong.
24.
He needs this red. Stephen Hendry isn't out of this frame just yet. He is now, though. So a lot to think about for the Scot. It's fair to say, I agree with you, Clive, about Steve getting advantage of the tactical exchanges, but in the middle of the frame,
32.
Stephen had a great opportunity. He only scored 30 points for it.
32 on the frame. Steve Davis.
Stephen Hendry in big trouble now. Steve Davis leads by 5 frames to 0.
Well, the session ended with Davis 7-1 ahead. The first 2 this evening were shared, leaving Steve just 1 frame to get into Sunday's final. Here's frame 11, commentary now from Willie here and John Virgo.
And you just get the feeling now, Willie, that Stephen won't be holding back. He'll be going for his shots. And you know this young man, if he gets a chance every frame and he could make 100 break, he'd be doing it. But so far what we've seen, he's not playing up to that form so far today. And that's the thing with snooker. Your opponent can cause that to happen.
6.
We draw the parallel, don't we, when we talk about, say for example, golf. No one ever stops you hitting your ball at golf. If you were playing someone like Steve Davis and we had it in the 80s, every time you come to the
13.
table, you're near the baulk cushion. It's very hard to score.
14. Yeah, okay.
But this is a decent chance, but Steve won't be panicking. He's going to get, well, if it went all the way, he's going to get at least another 7 tries to win that one frame. It's not turned out great, that.
Well, he played that so well. I mean, that is such
21.
a difficult shot to play. The stun into the bunch. He's not screwing into them, he's stunning into them. And to finish on the cushion there, that's very, very unfortunate. This is missable. As good a shot as he's played today. Look at the choice of pink or black. Played the cannon perfectly. Whatever he scores now, he deserves after that shot.
$29. 30.
Well, you never ever see Stephen Hendry miss cannons. He's played the
37.
cannon on the 3 reds above the black. He's played the middle one of the 3. He's played the cannon on that one there, look. Full ball, and missed it by an inch. And he's lucky you can see this one in baulk because he didn't play for that one.
38.
Well, he's potted it, but he's not great on this yellow. At full stretch. And because he was straight on the yellow, he couldn't get close to his next
40.
intended red, so this isn't a certainty.
$41.
Cued it well though.
$48. $49. Stephen Hendry, 49.
It's just not happening, is it, for Stephen Hendry? Still only one break over 50 in 11 frames. Now, what kind of angle does he have on this red? Can he get onto the black nicely? Yes, he can. He doesn't have to play the cannon. You can just roll it in dead weight, or come on and off the cushion if he wants to. Decided on the dead weight.
1.
This is half a chance for frame and match. And it's only a half a chance where the blue and red is at the other end of the table.
Many times we say about players in this position, the frame to win the match is the hardest. But you wouldn't think that is the case with these two players. They've crossed that winning line so many times. It holds no fear for them.
8.
The big problem is, as Stephen looks on, having spurned another chance and For all Steve Davis's good play today, and certainly outplayed Stephen in the tactical side, Stephen has missed chances.
9.
But just looking to see whether Steve Davis can win frame and match at this visit, the big problem is going to be the red tight to the blue near the baulk cushion. That red goes nowhere.
I think the blue will possibly pot in the right-hand corner. So
15.
Steve's main idea now would be another 3 reds and 3 colours, and off the last but 1 red, try and get onto the blue, which of course would free the red.
16.
Now then, let's have a little look here. I don't think he can get on anything. There's the blue. I think the blue will pot by the yellow. There's enough room to get on that, but he's going to have to play a good shot here. The cannon on the red next to the pink is possibly the guaranteed way of being on the 2 reds, but it needs a full ball cannon. Half ball is no good. He's missed the black. That was a twitch.
Steve Davis, 16.
He missed it by a long way.
Well, I think he just did something we see lots of time. He took his eye off the pot, concentrating on the cannon.
One.
And there's the red, so a chance for Stephen now. These 2 reds in the middle of the table are plenty enough for Stephen to win the frame at this visit, but he's underhit that by a long way.
8.
In fact, just 1 red and a colour would have been sufficient. It's not a guarantee now. Just made it in, so if he pots the pink, Steve Davis will need a snooker.
And played that nicely. Got the gap
15.
in between green and brown to play this red.
Sixteen.
Steve, I'm sure now won't be coming back to the table.
Stephen Hendry, 16. On the frame.
Well, that was very similar to the black that Steve Davis missed, which gave Stephen Hendry that frame. Anyway, that one didn't matter. He's hanging on in there. Steve Davis leads 8 frames to 3.
Well, Hendry won the next as well, and we pick it up in frame 13 with Steve in play.
Well, he has been knocking those long ones in.
One.
That's just come past the baulk line. Unbelievable the difference that makes. This brown virtually now missable on the baulk line. You can miss them. This might be too hard for this red he's played for. Well, he's suggesting that the cushions
5.
have bounced there, but as it was on its way, I thought it was too hard anyway.
Yes, so did I. Particularly if I had a trace aside on the cue ball. As soon as it got there, I agree with you, Willie, it was always going to be too pacey. He's got a red to the far left corner, though.
Six.
And it's there, and he's on the black, and the reds couldn't be better situated.
13. $14.
Well, he mishit that. The reason I say that, the red wobbled and the white's not come out high enough, so another cannon needed to hold position. Watch the red, he hits it thick, you see, barely went in. The cannon on the two reds below the pink, that's the shot. That's perfect.
Okay. 21. $22. $29.
We keep saying that Stephen's not played his best so far in this match. He's hanging on in there. I've got to be honest. I do believe that
30.
the reason this match is still on is because Steve Davis didn't take his chances before the mid-session interval. He's had plenty. But he is the type of player, Stephen, that if he could get in here, make a 100 break, get his rhythm going, he could go up a
37.
gear or two.
38. $45.
Not perfect on either red. The red to the left of the black. The black's in the way for the run through. This one is going to need the rest, and I don't think plain ball he can roll it on and off the cushion. If he does, he'll only be 2 or 3 inches away from the black. Now if he has to play this round the back of the black, makes it slightly more difficult because he'll need to stun it. Yeah, played round the back and played it perfectly.
46.
Plain ball, he would have come on and off the cushion and been very close to the black in the opposite corner. That's why he played the stun. Slightly more difficult shot, but could reap the reward the position has given him. Looks like a frame winner, this one.
53. $54. $61. $62. $70.
So that was the frame ball.
$75.
With 67 remaining.
76.
That's as good a time as any to make your highest break of the match. That's perfect. What a lovely shot that was. Beautiful shot.
81. 82.
Yes, a sizable break on here, but it can't beat the highest break at the moment, which is held by John Higgins and Steve Davis. And that's 145.
88.
But that'll be the last thing in Stephen's mind at the moment. He's trying to stay in this United Kingdom
89.
Championship.
He's already had 12 centuries this season. 681 in total, which is by far and away more than any other player in the game.
95.
And he's the kind of player that wants to make a century every time he does get to the table.
96.
So 682, he's one shot away. Oh goodness me, that was a premature clap, that
102. 103.
Yes, he hadn't even hit the cue ball.
110. 112.
This is more like it, Willie, isn't it?
Oh, you betcha. This is Steve Davis, remember, went for the long
115.
pot. And these all could have been his because it was a shot that he hadn't missed one in that pocket at distance. 9 out of 9 until he missed that long one in that pocket. And that's the only shot he's had in this frame. Just watch the cue ball when it hits the cushion again. It will spin and he might be
190.
Perfect. We mentioned before the interval when
124.
Steve and Hendry broke off that he'd like to come to the table and break off again because if he did it would be 8-5, or that is the scenario now. He's not worried about the black break because he knows he can't get the highest break, but what a break it was. Davis missed the long red, Hendry replied with a 130. He's back in this match, but still trails 8-5.
So Stephen looking right back in the groove, and he's got a chance of a maximum in frame 14.
Nicely on this red to play for the black
32.
once more. Wow, would you believe
33.
it? A heavy contact. Thank you, he says. Well, daylight robbery.
It's unbelievable. These balls were absolutely perfect, and it just shows you. One of the questions I had down the cue zone today is, why do we get kicks? And we still don't know why we get them. Some people have suggested static,
Stephen
some
Hendry,
people have
33.
suggested chalk.
Well, he got the kick okay, but why has he played that shot? He's misjudged it. He was trying to knock the black onto the top cushion. And basically what he's done, he's just left a sitter for Steve Davis with the black to follow. He tried to run this black to the top cushion. Hit it too thin.
One.
Well, if we thought Stephen Hendry had a possibility of a maximum, surely
8.
Steve Davis now has a possibility of winning frame and match. He couldn't wish to have the ball in a
9.
better position than this.
16.
He's entitled to be disappointed there because having made a break of 130 in the previous game, almost guaranteed to have won the frame without the kick at that visit. Whether he'd have gone on to make
17.
the maximum that we were suggesting, we'll never know, but he certainly would have won the frame. Come a little bit low on this, so got to be a little bit careful. Yes, that's good. Well, or is it? Is it good? Because this red now, he hasn't got
24.
an angle to get onto the colour nicely. He's making hard work of this. Hendry now knows that he is not guaranteed to get onto a colour here. If he runs through, I think he's kissing the black, so if he does play the run through, he's got to hope he kisses it towards the pocket. Well, play to get on the
25.
pink, and he hasn't got on it nicely. This is missable. Especially at the pace he's going to play it, John.
Well, normally you'd suggest the far right corner, but he's hampered badly by the red. That's what he's playing. This is tough. Oh, how
Steve Davis,
close was
25.
that? We talk about fractions in this game of snooker. I thought that was in. A little less pace and maybe it would have done. But what it's done now,
1.
that frame and match winning chance for Steve Davis has gone. Just look at this pink. A little less pace, surely gravity would have taken over. Steve sat there,
6.
seeing another frame being whittled away against him.
Seven.
Suppose you could think it'd been unfair for Stephen to have lost the match having got that horrendous kick that he did. Then he played a careless safety shot, so he'd have only had himself to blame. $20 points the lead.
12. $13.
Bit lower on the black than he would like, but I think he's okay. He'll be running into another red. It could go wrong. It could have gone better than that.
20.
They're all right, these shots, as long as all you have to do is pot the ball. If you have to do a little bit with the cue ball, the pot's missable.
21.
But he doesn't look like missing much at the moment, does he, Willie?
There's one thing for certain, he's back in this match. Steve Davis early on in the break he tried to make everything very, very easy. And where it all went wrong is when he tried to get onto the red into the middle and went too low and snookered himself on the desired red for the blue, and then it all went astray from there.
$28. $29.
So just the black. The comeback continues. That pink over the far corner reminder for
36.
Steve Davis how close he maybe was winning the match. But it's
37.
immaterial now. Stephen will knock that pink in that cost Steve the opportunity of winning frame and match. Have we got a match on now?
43.
Came in this evening, Stephen trailing by 6 frames.
43 and
It's reduced to only 2. But he still trails 8-6, but right back in it.
So, into frame 15, and the nerves are just starting to jangle.
And for the
1.
third frame running, Stephen Hendry left banging amongst the reds with them all spread all over the place. Black on its spot.
Eight. 9.
Sport never ceases to amaze me, because I'm going to come out with a line here which I didn't think I'd come out with tonight, Willie. Worrying times for Steve Davis.
Yes, I mentioned at the opening of this frame, if Stephen Hendry won this frame, even though he was 8-7 behind, I'm making him favourite to win the match.
16.
Now he's in the balls, he's a strong favourite to certainly get a sizable lead. He's not perfect on either red here. The red just above the black will cut, but he would have to play for blue, yellow or brown if he takes that red. He feels that the one will pass the blue into the pocket. Doesn't have to do anything with the cue ball, he can hold for pink or black, whichever he fancies. Looks like he's screwing back a little bit for the black. And it's in. And it's perfect.
17.
And his second, so it's trouble at mill, because he's right back in this match now.
$24. 25. 32. 33.
Oh, that's amazing, isn't it? Stephen Hendry came into this final session at the pot success rate of only 68%. There's the improvement, some 21% this evening, or 22% this evening.
40.
And he's starting to play well enough to have taken the lead on aggregate, and unfortunately for him though, he's still 2 frames behind, which looks
41.
surely likely to be only 1. Well, there's been comebacks in this game, but should Hendry go on to complete this, this would be one of the all-time greats.
Well, everybody was saying it could be a classic.
46.
It's never looked like it until now. Can't
47.
see Stephen missing from here.
$53.
What's he thinking about? He's got to think positive thoughts, not negative ones.
54.
You'd think he'd be experienced enough and he's been playing well enough, but he's not played that well this evening, it has to be said. Now whether he was just got a little bit negative, although he wasn't allowed to be honest with you, particularly after the interval. Oh, Stephen. Well, just when I'm calling
Stephen
him on
Hendry,
this
54.
frame, he misses a black off the spot. a chance for Steve Davis. 59 points behind, but there's still a possible 75 left on the table.
One.
You had to risk leaving the half-ball blue there. This is the Hendry miss. Seemed to bounce a little bit, but bad cueing. The only thing that can go wrong here for Steve Davis is him playing in between the green and pink. He's got to make sure he misses the green and pink on the way back again. Missed them the first time. Missed them the second time. Perfect. Well played. I'd say perfect. That might's run a little bit too far, but the key thing here is to get the black on its spot. The only reason I say that, the last red on the back cushion, you can't get on the colour other than the black from that red. So he needs the black on its spot at some stage.
7.
Now it would help if the reds are on the pink spot, because that would put the pink on the black spot, which would help getting onto that last red.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, there you can see the spot being covered by that red. So now that red along the back cushion becomes easier, the fact that we've got a colour on the black spot. I don't know the way things have been going, whether Steve will hold himself together here. This is a massive, massive task. 59 behind. Can he do it?
$13. 14.
It's key here to play the red that's not on the pink
19.
spot, because he really needs to take the red on the cushion next after this red and colour. It can go wrong if he does it the other way around,
20.
because he knows the pink will go back onto that spot, so he must play for that difficult red now. If he doesn't, the clearance is not a certainty. Yeah, it's good thinking. See, now the pink's on its spot makes this red a lot easier. This is the key shot.
26. $27.
Well, he played it the way that it could be missed, but he run round. He's nicely on the pink. $26 points behind. He needs
33.
the last red colour on all the colours to win the match.
34.
Stephen Hendry, Mr. Black off the spot to leave this opportunity. And that's inch perfect on the yellow. Will
39.
Stephen get back to the table?
Well, after what's gone on to Steve Davis, John, in the last 3 or 4
41.
frames, this is a monumental effort.
Yes, I'm certain not long ago he was sat there resigned to the fact that it was going to
44.
be 8-7. But as you say, hasn't he taken them well?
$48.
Blue, pink and black to put Stephen Hendry out of the UK Championship.
53.
Perfect. the black.
59.
Black for the
Set it
match.
down, please.
Fantastic. What a performance by Steve Davis. Stephen Hendry giving his best shot, but a missed black in that vital frame gave Steve Davis an opportunity, and boy did he take it. Absolutely superb. What a victory. Steve Davis moves on to the final, winning 9 frames to 6.
Well, Willie, anybody had any doubt about Steve Davis's will to win? You've just seen him there punching the air, absolutely delighted with that result.
Well, in fairness, the clearance was vintage Davis. That was something that we would come to see in the 80s when he was the #1 player in the world and virtually unbeatable at that time. They're the kind of clearance he used to do day in, day out. That's been missing, in fairness, over the last 3 or 4 years. But tonight's session was very, very good snooker. Hendry played well and Davis beat a Hendry playing well tonight.
How do you think he played overall, Steve, in the match?
In fairness, the first session, I think he was quite fortunate to be so far in front. He had a fair run of the ball, but he wasn't winning frames at one visit, which at this standard you would expect to do so. But, you know, I mean, this is Steve Davis back to somewhere near his best, and I was so delighted for him to dug deep. It would have been a catastrophe if he'd lost those last couple of frames.
Now, Stephen himself, particularly this morning, was a little bit off colour, wasn't he? He wasn't really firing.
Yeah, well, you never see Stephen Hendry miss balls when he's in close. I mean, he was getting in the... I think he missed 3 pinks in the middle pocket. I think he missed another 2 blacks off the spot, which you don't see him in this day and age.
Now, the final clearance, I've got to mention that, absolutely fabulous. Under the pressure he was under, that was certainly vintage Davis, wasn't it?
Well, you know, he's got to do it. And, of course, if he goes 8-7, he would have been second favourite as far as I'm concerned. And he probably felt that himself. And I think he dug so deep during that clearance. And the key, really, was keeping that red on the pink spot until the last possible moment. That made the last red on the cushion very, very simple. It was an absolutely clinical clearance and thoroughly deserved to win. OK, well, thanks very much. But this is what both players had to say themselves after the match.
It's disappointing in the respect that, you know, I had to be, you know, on my way out before I started playing well again. It was the same with Watton in the first round. And that's disappointing, you know. I didn't compete at all this afternoon. And I was really gutted. So, more gutted about the way I played this afternoon than what happened tonight. I just wanted to try and get Steve to the interval tonight, and then perhaps put a little bit of doubt in his mind, and I think it was there. I made a fatal mistake on the black. I changed my mind when I was down in the shot and missed an easy black, and he made a great clearance.
Impossible to predict that a 7-1 scoreline against Stephen Hendry, especially after the amount of sort of trouble I've had over the years of, you know, even holding him to level scores. But he was missing. And he missed loads, and it was more of a shock than anything else. I sat there thinking, well, this is, you know, somewhere down the line he's going to start potting them, because I've got so used to that, you know, a bit of brainwashing probably, and I spent a bit of the day, you know, waiting for him to flick the switch and it all to go wrong for me. I've got nothing but admiration for the man. I think he's put on a fantastic, you know, it's been a fantastic achievement to get to the final. I think perhaps the only thing he would need to strengthen up on is he's not scoring heavy enough. You know, I didn't put him under any pressure this afternoon, and I can't remember him winning many frames in one visit. So that's something that perhaps is only a slight weakness, but, you know, how can I criticise him after he's just, you know, beat me 9-6? He outplayed me. Well, I was thinking, what would it mean to beat Stephen Hendry in the semi-finals of the UK after this many years of struggling to beat him. But now it's happened. I would have been disappointed if I hadn't have beaten him today, because he wasn't on song. So it's not the same as beating an informed Stephen Hendry for me. But I'm delighted to have got through to the final. I can't quite believe how your form can change